Hi, everybody, and welcome to Beyond Politics. Before we get started on today's topic, I just want to announce to everybody that we have a website, beyondpolitics.co.za. There's a lot of people asking for solutions in our comments, and it's great that we actually do have a couple of solutions. On the website, you'll find our workshops, you'll find our free citizens empowerment training, and any other information that we speak about here will also be on our website. So do make sure you go and visit it, beyondpolitics.co.za.
And we do presentations as well as workshops, and there's a presentation coming up
9th of February.
Yeah, 9th of February.
Yes.
Just basically looking over 2020 when the COVID pandemic was announced worldwide.
We're debriefing the last 5 years.
And we will be talking about this year, which is a very important year in the globalist calendar.
Fun times. Okay, so we're going to cover an article covered by mybroadband.co.za and bring in a couple of other issues. What I found interesting in all my years of listening to people in the political realm speaking about climate change and similar topics, no one has ever mentioned the impact of the fourth industrial revolution and related technologies. No one's ever mentioned it. Only meat farming and the human impact has been blamed for climate change.
Cow farts, yes.
Yeah. And never has the technology overall been addressed. And this article actually touches on that. And we'll actually put a few links in the description tied around this theme.
And please stay in this video till the end, because I will be discussing how this is affecting Eskom and some shocking announcements with regards to what is happening. Load shedding around the corner if the Earth Life Africa and some of the green environmentalists have their way. I'll explain to you why and how.
Firstly, let me know in the comments, how many smartphones do you think are produced every year? How often do you replace your smartphone? Smartphones, if you watched yesterday's video and previous videos, you'll see that the government, not just the government, but global organizations want everyone to have access to either smartphones or laptops or some form of technology to connect them to a digital identity and various other government services.
Yeah, but we're now getting to the cost of digitizing the world, and you will never hear them talking about the effects to the environment.
So, fun fact, 1.4 billion smartphones are produced every year, and we can only expect that number to increase. We can't even comprehend as human beings what that number is. We can't properly comprehend how many cell phones that actually is.
And that's not laptops and iPads and also. Those are just smartphones. And these devices are necessary to monitor, track, and trace the human population. So the governments want everyone, especially the people that control the global governments, want everyone to own a smartphone or smart device.
And, track and tracing aside for a second and thinking a bit longer term than when you get paid at the end of the month, especially those of us who have children, how do you want our existence to be? Do you want our planet to be overly polluted and our water to be sent to data centers instead of to human beings? Because that's the trajectory we're on right now, and it's terrifying. No one's addressing it. People are talking about climate change, but not pollution that actually affects us as humans on this planet. And so, we're going to talk about South African data centers leading global charge. There's a couple of phrases I just want to quote from the article, and then we can discuss it. It says Microsoft, one of the world's largest data center providers with over 200 facilities under its Azure brand, recently announced an effort to increase environmental sustainability by integrating closed-loop cooling systems into its DCs.
Well, all that means is you're using less water, but what they don't tell you is the amount of heat that you're putting out into the atmosphere.
That's a huge problem. But finally they're actually wanting to do something to become more sustainable, but I actually can't imagine it fully playing out. We have, I think we have 68 data centers here in South Africa already. And this article covers one of the companies that run some of the data centers. And it says here, My Broadband visited one of Terraco's data centers in 2024, and they were told the facility had already implemented this technology as part of their sustainability drive. Great, but Terraco said that JB3, one of the data centers, roughly uses around 300,000 liters of water to cool its IT infrastructures.
Now here's where the lie comes in, because I understand the technology, and most people do not. If you want a closed loop system, all that heat is still being transferred to the atmosphere. Because normally, if you use cooling tower systems, it is the physical vaporization of that water that causes the cooling or to remove that energy. So the energy is not being lost. It has to be transferred. It's being transferred to the air, even if you're saving the water. So massive amounts of energy being transferred into the air, and normally your energy would happen during the phase change, going from water to vapor or to steam, and this is not the case. So you get more energy transfer into the air.
So just remember what I said, 68 data centers in South Africa. Yes, one data center requiring 300,000 liters of water to cool its infrastructure. I'm not sure if that's per year. Guessing so. Similarly, Microsoft said each of its data centers consumes roughly each of their data centers. They have 200 facilities. Consumes roughly 125 million liters of water yearly, making the current technology extremely unsustainable. Can you comprehend how much water that is?
But they need a lot more for AI to work. So for them to monitor, track and trace all of us, which is the end game plan, they need a lot more data centers. And especially here in Cape Town and in South Africa, there's an explosion of data centers and new data centers being planned. And they want to use South Africa as one of these places where there is a data center hub at the southern tip of Africa, strategically.
And now with all of us with our little smart water meters, we can be rationed so easily. And it's actually terrifying. Governments and corporations will be serving AI, not people.
Well, their interests.
Yeah,
yes,
their interest,
exactly.
their infrastructure. So Taraco is, this is just one company that this news article covered. Taraco has also implemented several initiatives to improve energy efficiency, achieving power usage effectiveness of 1.52 in 2023, thanks to its cooling system, according to the report. So the thing is, they're speaking, Microsoft and this company, and I'm sure others, are speaking about achieving this in the future. Up until now, what has been happening? And that's an important thing to acknowledge. It also managed to save over 3 million kilowatts per hour of potential energy demand, avoiding more than 3,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent during the year, thanks to this level of energy efficiency.
But they made the earth hotter, literally.
So this is the interesting part as well. Taraco has also set the goal of using 50% clean energy by 2027 and 100% by 2035. The clean energy they speak of, what do you think it is? You think it's nuclear power?
No.
The article goes on to speak about solar power.
So solar panels, which are quite inefficient, being used, and at the end of the day, if you look at the scale at which this is going to take place, you will understand why people like Bill Gates are investing in nuclear power stations to actually drive these data centers, because even he knows that solar is not actually sustainable, and that the net is still a loss to the environment. They're trying to make as if these are wonderful gains. But people that actually understand what's happening, like myself, can tell you that you're actually causing more and more heat to literally go into the atmosphere. So weather change, hey, people claim that all sorts of other things cause weather change. These data centers are changing the weather.
Especially if you think about the quantity, and there's going to be so many more built. Just a couple more things. They say that by this time it aims to have 200 megawatts of utility scale solar energy, which believes will require 3.5 billion rand to build. So that's a lot of money going to the economy.
About 200 megawatts is one coal-fired power station unit, medium size. So 200 megawatts is a lot. I mean, that can supply a fairly large town. Just to get a comparison of what we are talking about here, one average size data center can consume 1 megawatt continuously.
So I find articles like this extremely serious. I know most people, including me sometimes too, one can only think in terms of the end of the week, the end of the month, maybe the end of the year. If we are privileged, we can maybe think in terms of 5 years. Very rarely do we have the luxury of thinking longer term. But those of us who actually have children, those of us who actually want to stick around to a nice old age, we actually have to care about what this world and country is going to look like. I do believe we have certain control over what happens here in South Africa if we play our cards right as citizens. And we need to take control. We actually do have the power. It's decisions.
Nothing's inevitable.
Nothing's inevitable. There are decisions, and this is why a lot of people will say, politics is a waste of time, because corporations go over and above our heads, don't ask our permission, and just go and build things and do things that could completely destroy our future, and we have no idea it's happening. And that is true. But if we as citizens realize how we can make different decisions, then we can change the course of at least South Africa. Maybe not the world, but at least South Africa.
And in South Africa, we have a problem with power, with electricity. Eskom has had huge problems with supplying the demand after a very long period of time of getting bad coal quality to the coal-fired power stations. And remember, coal-fired power stations were a massive upgrade from everyone burning wood in neighborhoods. I mean, the pollution from that is far worse. People forget why we have coal-fired power stations, because they're a lot cleaner than the alternative. Getting coal out the ground and actually burning it is a lot cleaner than every Tom, Dick and Harry in neighborhoods burning firewood. I mean, we will not be able to breathe if that was the case in a city like Cape Town or Joburg or whatever the case may be. So coal-fired power stations are a much better option. And right now, Earthlife Africa and another organization has gone to the High Court to get Eskom to shut down 12 of their coal-fired power stations because of their emissions. And if this happens, we will have load shedding at stage 14 and even stage 16. And just imagine what that would mean. How is it possible that organizations are allowed to go to court in our legal system and fight to shut down that many of our power supply? And then they say, but we haven't seen the numbers. Will it actually be that bad? A lot of these people maybe believe that Eskom was implementing load shedding just to spite the South African populace. A lot of fake news like that was going around. And if these data centers are being built at this rate and at this scale, can Eskom supply the power? Can they supply their own power? And what is the consequences of that? We need to consider these things. And data centers being built, we can choose if that is going to happen or not. But it looks like our government is in lockstep with the worldwide plan to put data centers in place specifically for artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so we can be monitored, tracked, and traced every second of the day. That's what our future looks like currently. I believe we can change the future. It starts with knowledge. I think a lot of people need to still understand the impact of the fourth industrial revolution on our government and on our individual lives. And as more people become aware of it, I do believe that people will make better choices.
And just lastly, there's also a court case to shut down Koeberg Nuclear Power Station, which has just got a life extension for Unit 1. There's an application for Unit 2. And this is nuclear power, something that we can use to power data centers with a cleaner form of energy.
Contrary to popular belief,
exactly,
nuclear is actually
and
clean
yet
energy.
There are people, the same people, trying to shut down the life extension of the only nuclear power station we have, and shutting down the future of nuclear, and actually putting in power generation, ways of power generation that has actually got a huge effect on the climate directly. Solar panels being put everywhere. What happens to everything underneath it? Unless you put it on buildings. And a data center, putting solar panels on top of the data center, how do you do that when you have all these closed chillers on top? And in the thumbnail we're using, you can actually see what that looks like. So you would need to use other space. Ground.
Yeah, well, Free State, they have earmarked Free State for...
Well, there can be many other places. Now you need to transfer that power over a distance.
Yeah.
On what grid? Their lines, the Eskom lines. You see, this is where they start deceiving people, and they're talking about wheeling power from one place to another.
Wheeling or wielding?
Yes, it's basically wielding power more than anything else. So don't be fooled, people. We'll give you more updates in future on the specifics of what is actually happening. And don't believe this wheeling thing. It's foolery, skullduggery, etc.
Let us know in the comments, what do you think about these organizations trying to threaten our country's energy? Should they be considered terrorists, or do you think they're doing a good thing for the environment?
Eco-terrorists.
Eco-terrorism. Is it eco-terrorism or is it eco-activism? Let us know in the comments what you think. South Africa needs its energy. Our economy is stagnant. We need more energy to grow. Our stability is being threatened. What do you think in light of the context of South Africa?
And
What do you
especially
think of the
these
actions?
data centers now being put up, eating at our energy.
Yes, Greenpeace never ever goes and protests outside data centers or anything
No.
that will threaten AI infrastructure or the fourth industrial revolution. So interesting food for thought. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'd love to read your comments below.